Not everyone you love enters your life by accident. Some people arrive with unusual emotional intensity. From the very beginning, the connection feels strangely familiar, as if something inside you already knows them. But what if marriage is not only about love? What if it is also about karma? Unfinished lessons, hidden wounds, and emotional patterns carried deep within the soul. Why do some marriages feel peaceful and healing, while others become painful mirrors that expose your deepest fears? Why are you drawn to one person and not another? Why do certain partners trigger emotions no one else can reach? The Buddha once taught that nothing arises without a cause. And perhaps relationships are no different. Perhaps the soul recognizes what the mind does not yet understand. A monk once sat quietly outside a temple as a married couple argued while walking past him. Their voices were tense. Their energy felt heavy. To most people, they looked incompatible. Two personalities constantly clashing. But the monk simply closed his eyes and whispered, "Karmic precision." Because Buddhist wisdom teaches that relationships are rarely as random as they appear, most people believe marriage begins with attraction, a smile, a feeling, a moment of chemistry. But sometimes the connection begins much earlier than that. Long before logic becomes involved, certain people awaken something deep inside us. The connection feels immediate, unexplainable, almost familiar. Some people enter your life and quickly touch emotions no one else could reach. Peace, fear, attachment, longing, pain. And the strange part is, the mind often does not fully understand why. This is why people sometimes stay attached to relationships that make little logical sense. Because the attraction is not only emotional, it may also be karmic. The Buddha taught that every connection arises from causes and conditions, and perhaps certain souls meet because unfinished emotional energy still exists between them. A lesson not yet learned, a wound not yet healed, a pattern not yet understood. This does not mean every relationship is destined forever, but it may explain why some connections feel unusually powerful from the very beginning. And this leads to a quiet but profound realization. Some people do not enter your life to complete your happiness. They enter to complete your awakening. Attraction is not always logical. Sometimes the heart moves towards someone even when the mind sees warning signs clearly. A woman once married a man who repeatedly hurt her emotionally. He became distant, cold, unpredictable. Her friends asked why she stayed. Even she could not fully explain it. Part of her knew the relationship was painful, yet another part felt unable to let go. Buddhist wisdom offers a deeper explanation for this kind of connection. Karma often recreates unresolved emotional patterns. The mind becomes drawn toward emotional familiarity, even when that familiarity creates suffering. This is why certain relationships feel strangely magnetic, not because they are always healthy, but because they awaken something unfinished inside the soul. Sometimes we are attracted to people who mirror old wounds, the fear of abandonment, the pain of rejection, the longing to finally feel chosen, valued, or emotionally safe. And because these wounds already exist within us, the connection feels intensely meaningful. The mind mistakes emotional familiarity for destiny. But familiarity is not always alignment. Sometimes it is simply repetition, the soul returning to the same emotional lesson again and again until awareness finally enters the pattern. This is why some relationships feel addictive, confusing, or emotionally overwhelming, not because they are meant to destroy you, but because they reveal what still needs healing. And this leads to a painful but liberating insight. Attraction is not always proof of alignment. Sometimes it is proof of unfinished healing. The heart is often pulled toward what still needs understanding. Marriage has a way of revealing parts of ourselves that everyday life keeps hidden. A relationship can feel like a mirror, not a mirror of your appearance, but a mirror of your fears, insecurities, and emotional attachments. Jealousy appears, control appears, criticism appears, emotional dependency appears, and often these reactions seem to come out of nowhere. A student once told a monk, "My partner makes me feel worthless." The monk looked at him quietly and replied, "Then perhaps the wound already existed before the words." The student fell silent, because deep down he knew the pain felt older than the relationship itself. This is one of the deepest truths about marriage. Partners often expose insecurities that were already living inside us. A fear of not being enough, a fear of abandonment, a fear of losing love. And because relationships touch the emotional core of the self, these hidden wounds rise to the surface very quickly. The mind immediately wants to blame the other person. They are making me suffer. But Buddhist wisdom invites a different approach. Instead of only blaming, begin observing. What emotion is being triggered? What attachment is being touched? What fear already existed before this moment? This shift changes the relationship completely, because now the conflict becomes a doorway into self-awareness instead of only frustration. And this leads to a profound realization. Relationships reveal what everyday life hides. You do not only marry a person, you marry the parts of yourself they awaken. Many people believe they keep meeting the wrong person, but sometimes the deeper truth is this. The soul is repeating the same lesson in different forms. Different face, different relationship, same suffering. One person always feels abandoned. Another constantly attracts emotionally unavailable partners. Others repeat cycles of betrayal, rejection, or emotional instability again and again. And after enough pain, the question naturally appears, why does this keep happening to me? A woman once asked a Buddhist teacher exactly this. Why do I always meet the same kind of person? The teacher looked at her calmly and replied, because the lesson has not fully awakened yet. At first, the answer sounded cruel, but it carried deep wisdom. Buddhist teachings suggest that unlearned emotional patterns continue repeating until awareness finally enters the cycle. Not as punishment, not because the universe hates you, but because unconscious wounds continue shaping conscious choices. Karma is often misunderstood. People imagine it as reward or punishment, but many times karma is simply repetition seeking awareness. The same emotional pattern returns because something inside still needs understanding, healing, or release. This is why changing partners alone does not always change the suffering, because the external situation changes, while the internal wound remains the same, and this creates a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of asking, why does this keep happening to me? You begin asking, what is this trying to teach me? And this leads to a profound realization. The soul repeats the lesson until awareness replaces unconsciousness. Not all love is healthy. Sometimes attachment disguises itself as love. A person may stay in a painful relationship, not because the connection is peaceful, but because the fear of losing it feels even more painful. This is where suffering quietly begins. The fear of being alone, emotional dependency, the constant need for reassurance, attention, or validation. Many people call this love. But Buddhist wisdom makes an important distinction between love and attachment. Love allows space. Attachment clings. Love supports growth. Attachment fears change. A monk once said, attachment says, stay so I feel safe. Awareness says, grow even if it changes everything. This is why some marriages continue long after peace has disappeared. Not from genuine connection, but from fear. Fear of abandonment. Fear of starting over. Fear of losing identity without the relationship. And the more tightly the mind clings, the more suffering increases. Because attachment creates constant anxiety, the fear of losing, the fear of being replaced, the fear that love may disappear. But real love does not grow from possession. It grows from awareness, compassion, and freedom. It allows both people to evolve without emotional imprisonment. This does not mean love becomes cold or distant. It becomes calmer, healthier, less controlled by fear. The Buddha taught that clinging creates suffering because the mind tries to hold what is naturally changing. And this leads to a profound realization. Love becomes peaceful when possession disappears. The deeper the attachment, the deeper the suffering. Many people believe the purpose of marriage is happiness, to feel loved, comforted, understood. But Buddhist wisdom offers a deeper perspective. The purpose of a spiritual relationship is not perfection, it is awareness. A spiritual partner does not only reflect your strengths, they also reveal your shadows, your impatience, your ego, your fears, your emotional wounds. And although this can feel uncomfortable, it can also become one of the greatest opportunities for growth. A partner may teach patience when things do not go your way. They may expose pride when your ego feels challenged. They may awaken compassion by revealing your tendency to judge or control. One Zen teacher shared this parable. A candle asked the wind, "Will you destroy me?" The wind replied, "No, I will reveal whether your flame is real." This is the deeper purpose of many karmic relationships, not to destroy you, but to reveal the parts of yourself that still lack awareness. Some partners awaken consciousness through peace, others awaken it through friction. Both can become spiritual teachers. And when awareness enters the relationship, something important changes. The relationship stops being only emotional, it becomes spiritual practice. Each conflict becomes an opportunity to observe the mind. Each challenge becomes a chance to soften the ego, and slowly, consciousness grows. This leads to a profound realization. Conscious relationships help dissolve ego. The right partner does not only comfort you, they awaken you. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not all marriages are meant to last forever. Many people believe that if a relationship ends, it must have failed. But Buddhist wisdom sees some endings differently. Sometimes a relationship completes its karmic purpose. The lesson is learned. The awareness arrives. And the soul begins asking for a different path. A divorced woman once sat beside a teacher and quietly asked, "Did my marriage fail?" The teacher looked at her gently and replied, "Not all endings are failures. Some are awakenings." She began to cry, because for years she had carried guilt, shame, and bitterness about the relationship ending. But in that moment, something softened. She realized the relationship had changed her. It revealed wounds she never understood before. It forced her to grow. It taught her what attachment, fear, and self-abandonment felt like. And although the experience was painful, it awakened awareness. Buddhist teachings remind us that letting go can also be sacred. Growth sometimes requires separation. Not every soul is meant to walk beside you forever. Some arrive only long enough to teach a lesson your spirit needed to understand. This does not erase the pain, but it transforms the meaning of the pain. Bitterness slowly becomes gratitude. Suffering slowly becomes wisdom. And this leads to a quiet but powerful realization. Some souls stay for a lifetime. Others stay only long enough to awaken you. Many people spend their lives searching for the perfect relationship, believing marriage will finally complete them. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something deeper. Marriage is not the final destination. Awakening is. Relationships are temporary forms within an ever-changing life. Some last many years, others last only a short season. But consciousness, the awareness you develop through the experience, is the deeper journey. True peace does not come from another person. It grows through self-awareness, understanding, and inner clarity. This is why two people can be in the same relationship, yet experience completely different levels of suffering. The external relationship matters, but the internal state matters even more. Who you marry often reflects your current emotional and spiritual condition. And as awareness changes, relationships begin changing too. The patterns become clearer, the attachments weaken, the need for validation softens, you stop choosing from fear and unconscious wounds, and slowly, karma transforms into wisdom. The relationship may still be karmic, but awareness changes how the karma is experienced. Instead of repeating pain unconsciously, you begin learning consciously. And this leads to one final realization. You stop attracting painful lessons when you stop abandoning yourself. Some relationships enter our lives with unusual emotional force for a reason. What feels like coincidence may carry lessons far deeper than attraction alone. Buddhist wisdom teaches that every relationship can become a mirror, a lesson, or an awakening. Suffering often begins unconsciously, but healing begins the moment awareness enters the pattern. So perhaps your relationship struggles are not punishment. Perhaps they are invitations to understand yourself more deeply, to heal what has been repeated for too long, and to awaken. If this message resonated with you, comment, "Awareness breaks the cycle," and subscribe for more teachings on Buddhist wisdom, relationships, and inner peace.